Golden Spiral Media presents The Flash Rewatch.
I think you've been reading too many comic books.
Dedicated to the 1990 television series The Flash on CBS.
I think I'm starting to like this.
Join Cory and Tom each week as they chase down the fastest man alive and examine the short run of 22 episodes.
I mean, you people have a reputation. Unorthodox experiments, secret government contracts.
Send us your feedback at goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/rewatch podcast. And follow us on Twitter at rewatchpod.
Anytime you need me, I'll be there in a flash.
And welcome back to the Rewatch podcast and the Flash 90 Rewatch. I'm Cory.
And I'm Tommy. Tommy's ready to record. Tommy's got his stuff set up. Tommy's watched the episode. Tommy's taking notes. And Tommy is ready to rock.
Well done, Tommy.
Tommy thanks you.
Cory's pleased. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. We are back to discuss 2 more episodes of The Flash 90. This week's episodes are Ghost in the Machine and Sight Unseen. But before we get into it, we want to remind our listeners that we're part of the Golden Spiral Media podcast network. And you can send us your feedback at goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback. Type out a message or use the SpeakPipe widget to record your own voice, or call 304-837-2278 and we can play it back on the show. It'd be great to hear from you guys out there.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear from you in this time where the current new Flash is on hiatus. This is what we got. So come on, let's rewatch The Flash and talk about this.
Exactly. We really hope that you're getting on board with it. You know, if you like that show, why not go back to something from back in the day? You know, and we'd love to hear what you think about it. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Also, head over to facebook.com/goldenspiralmedia and follow on Twitter at GSM Podcasts. All right, before we get into our episode discussion, I see you've got something in the reruns section.
Yes. Yeah, I just, it reminded me of it, because, we're doing this show, of course. But over on the Central City Underground Facebook page, someone had posted that John Wesley Shipp, of course, our lead, was at a Comic-Con recently and talked to the fans, saying, hey, if you guys want to see the classic Flash costume on the new show, tweet about it. You got to get out there and set, come up with a hashtag or something and let the, CW producers or writers or, directors, whatever, know that you want that classic TV costume to make an appearance on the new show. And I was like, that'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
So what's he talking about? Like him showing up as Jay Garrick in that costume, or having like an alternate Barry Allen? I'm
not sure. I mean, all he really talked about is just if they want to see that costume make an appearance. And they said, they went on to say, Mark Hamill showed up as the Trickster in this new series. So why couldn't, John Wesley Shipp show up maybe as that Flash from Flash 90, alternate universes and everything like that, the multiple dimensions they got going on? It could happen.
I could dig it. I'd like to see that. That'd be interesting, especially after, once we get through this season. I think it would almost be like a nice capper.
It would
to
be.
This rewatch.
It would be.
To see that show up in the new season. That'd be pretty cool.
I know. There's a whole article over there. It's from comicbook.com. But you go over to the Central City Underground Facebook page and get the link there. And they're talking about what the hashtag could be, So right now, the one they said was something like hashtag Flash 90, which we're using Flash 90 because that's us. That's what we're doing. But that's what they were contemplating over there. So I thought that was kind of cool.
All right. Well, let's get into the first episode discussion today. The episode is Ghost in the Machine, written by John Francis Moore and Howard Chaykin, directed by Bruce Bilson. And this originally aired on December 13th of 1990.
Well, let's have a big round of applause for our special guest. Oh, I wouldn't waste your firepower. It's useless. Television allows me to be everywhere.
You can't blackmail an entire city.
Of course I can, fool. I'm the future. And you're far too late to stop me. One more adjustment before detonation.
Your show's canceled, Ghost.
Try Ghostess.
You should have stayed in Helltown frightening mobsters.
You're psychotic.
Well, one man's psychotic is another man's visionary. Video is the future. And I'm detonating the bombs with a television signal. Now, I don't want to blow up those buildings, but an ultimatum is an ultimatum.
Maybe you shouldn't blow up the hospital, Russell, honey.
Damn it, Belle, you can't let human sentimentality stand in the way of progress.
Too much TV, Ghost. You've got no attention span.
What did you do?
Shortwave jamming device.
What did you do?
But he's still in there!
No one could survive that fire.
After 25 years in cryogenic sleep, the technological supervillain known as the Ghost has awakened to embrace a modernized world that he has long waited to dominate, a world overrun by the television. With this threat reborn, the man who once roamed Central City's streets as the masked vigilante Nightshade emerges from retirement to challenge his arch nemesis once again. The Ghost quickly reunites with his old gang, who are shocked to see him again after all these years, and especially so young. They assist him in a burglary at StarLabs in order to obtain heavy-duty broadcasting equipment and computers, to which the Ghost hooks himself up to, effectively allowing him to cause chaos citywide, eventually taking over complete control due to the integration of technology to its vital systems. The Nightshade manages to find the Ghost's hideout, and together with the Flash, the two costume crime fighters head in to stop him. While the Ghost gets the upper hand on the Flash in a virtual reality showdown, Tina manages to rig an old device of the Nightshade's to work with modern technology, shutting the villain off from the network and enabling the heroes to prevail.
How could I have been so stupid at my age? Putting on the mask, going after the Ghost like I was 25 again.
I can't believe this place.
Well, souvenirs of another life. That diving suit was my first case. These guys were scuttling boats outside Central Harbor. Those model airplanes? Hitman called himself the Aviator, loaded them up with dynamite, tried to fly him into City Hall.
Yeah, but you stopped him.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful car.
I welded steel plate on the inside. Damn thing's like a tank.
Dr. Powell. What made you do it? Why'd you become the Nightshade?
Someone had to be. I came home from Korea. This town was being squeezed between the mob and a corrupt administration.
And making the law your own. Enforcing it with your own gun, that was okay.
After Korea, I couldn't kill anybody. But I sure as hell could put them down for the count. I modified this gun to shoot tranquilizer dots.
Okay, but running around in a... Why'd you put on a mask?
Oh, I was working outside the law. I was black. Nobody was going to give me any medals. Besides, I had to...
Protect your loved ones.
Yeah. You're pretty sharp, Al.
All right, so we've got a few flashpoints here. What do we got?
All right, so now the Nightshade. You know, like it seems like this would be like a perfect character, you know, to come from the comics, but like I couldn't find anything about the Nightshade actually being in DC Comics aside from this.
I'm so bummed. Quick connections, people. We need quick connections in this.
I mean, as far as Nightshade goes, I mean there is a character called Nightshade, but it's not like even close to like what we have here. The Nightshade in the comics was a woman, and it's like totally it's nothing about it. It has stuff to do with the Suicide Squad, you know, and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure she must be a villain or something. It's a whole thing.
This is like Metallo from Lois and Clark. This is Deathstroke.
Deathstroke, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, it's kind of like Deathstroke. So
name only.
Exactly. But the Nightshade that we do see here does kind of remind me of another superhero from DC Comics in the 1940s. There was a superhero called the Sandman. Now, it's not the Sandman like I know that Neil Gaiman did a whole series of comic books called the Sandman, and I've never read those. That was like kind of like not when I was collecting comics, and I've heard things about it. I just didn't interest me so much. But the original Sandman back in the 1940s was part of the Justice Society of America, and he wore a gas mask, kind of like what Nightshade has, and he had like these guns that would sort of like have some kind of sleeping powder in it to knock out his enemies. So it's kind of like Nightshade may have been derived from that, you know. He had like a fancy car that he used as, you know, his quote, you know, like Sandmobile, like Batmobile. But yeah, it was it wasn't called the Sandmobile. I know it wasn't called the Sandmobile. I'm just saying for, you know, illustration's sake. But anyway, like when you look at the Sandman from those old comics, like you could see, you could sort of see where, you know, where the inspiration for the Nightshade must have come from.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, like I said, I'm totally bummed that this isn't from the comics.
Yeah, I know, because it's perfect for that. It's perfect for that.
It is. But, well, you know, I had a suspicion anyway. Like, thinking about it, I was like, all right, so they've got this character, the Nightshade. He could be from the comic books, but, you know, we said right at the beginning, like, we never really thought this, like, noir feel that came has obviously been derived from the 89 Batman.
Right.
Just it wasn't sitting quite right with the Flash. So at the same time, I was a bit like, all right, so maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there it is, right?
Well, you know, we could put links in there. So I'll get a link to an image of the original Sandman, and you'll see, like it. I mean, the original Sandman wore a fedora just like Nightshade does. He has the gas mask. He has the guns. He has a suit on. You know, so and he has a cape, so it's close. It really is pretty close. Like you'd be hard pressed to say that it wasn't inspired by this character.
Very cool.
Now, I was looking at the other actors in here, and I said, okay, come on. He's got Skip, he's got Belle. There's got to be some tie here, you know, to other comics, because these guys look like they've been around. They've done tons of movies and everything. And I didn't find much for Belle. Like, she's been in a bunch of movies, but nothing related to what we're talking about. However, Skip, okay, the guy who plays Skip, his name is Ian Abercrombie. He actually plays Emperor Palpatine in the Clone Wars cartoon. Mm-hmm. Not only that, he also played Alfred in Birds of Prey, that one season TV show, which I saw a little bit of, but never watched the whole run of it. So, but there's a little tie in there, you know, to the sci-fi geek stuff.
Cool.
And then just scrolling through Ian Abercrombie's IMDb page, I just going through trying to see what's he been in, and I just happened to notice the title of this one, and the picture caught my eye. I was like, what is this? And apparently he was in a movie called Test Tube Teens from the year 2000.
I'm going to guess this is some sort of schlock film out of the 80s.
It's actually from the 90s, but yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's some kind of just very strange, you know, teenage type movie. Like, just I can't even imagine, but like I was like, that's interesting. I might want to try to check that out. So I don't know. It's supposed to be a comedy, so
I like movies like that. I mean, go on, like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Exactly.
Earth Girls Are Easy. You know, there's tons of movies like that. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So
yes. So yeah, there's a new one. Test Tube Teens from the year 2000. And then finally, the guy who plays the ghost, his name is Anthony Stark. And I was watching this, and I was like, I know him from somewhere. Where I know him from? And I was scrolling through again, IMDb, could not figure out where I knew him from. And then I saw that he was in a Seinfeld episode playing the infamous Jimmy. Do you remember this episode?
Give me a bit more information on Jimmy.
Okay. Well, the reason why my whole intro was like it was is because of his Jimmy character. If you're a Seinfeld fan, Jimmy is the guy who
he always spoke
he talks
about
about himself.
In the third person. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I do remember that.
So I got a link in here if you want to view a little clip of Jimmy making his appearance on Seinfeld. There, it was just fun. I was like, oh, it's got to be the intro.
All right, we'll drop that in the show notes as well.
Yes,
very cool.
Dr. Powell, I've learned a lot working with you.
Yeah? Well, the next time you need me for one of these little romps, forget about it. I'm retired.
I guess we're lucky we're not dead. We're in a straitjacket.
There's not many people who'll ever know the thrill. When the sky goes dark, the masks go on, and the criminal hearts thump with fear. Sorry. Too many pulp magazines when I was a kid. But you know what I mean. You ever reveal your secret to anyone?
I have someone I share it with. She helps keep me on an even course.
She? Good for you. But if you ever need anyone else to talk to, I'm here.
It does get difficult sometimes. Speaking behind a mask.
No, don't. I don't need to know. And you don't need the complication. You know, you ought to start your own trophy room. Allow me to donate the first exhibit. And remember, my fast friend, these outfits we wear are just another suit of clothes, not another man.
All right, so let's get into the rundown. Okay, so I'm going to say this off the bat. I loved this episode. Loved this episode.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great fun.
Nightshade. Talk to me about Nightshade. This guy is cool as hell.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's smooth, you know, like I know he's supposed to be like, what did they say? Was he from the 60s?
From the 50s. It was 55.
The 50s.
When it
All right,
opens
55.
up with the scene of him fighting the ghost and...
That's right.
I think she calls herself the Ghostette, but that's Belle.
Right, exactly. No, I thought like just his whole demeanor and everything, he was just very cool looking, you know, and cool sounding. Like I just wanted, it has nothing to do with anything else, but just I wanted to hear like the Shaft, you know, sound, the theme song behind him, because he was just so like just calm and collected about everything. Like, I'm getting you, you know. It's like, yeah.
Oh man, maybe you should pull out the guitar again and maybe do a riff on the Shaft song with Nightshade.
Oh, there you go.
He's one bad mother. Shut your mouth. Hey, I'm just talking about Nightshade.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it is a cool opening scene. This whole black and white, 55, and the ghost is like terrorizing the city with his TV signals. I mean, it's got like one foot in camp, but like,
yeah,
I think it was still done like very menacingly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then yeah, Nightshade shows up to battle him. And then this also like 50s thing to do of putting him in cryogenic suspension.
Exactly.
So he reemerges. So yeah, I think this was probably my favorite opening. I'm saying it out right now. This is my favorite episode so far of this series.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's a good story, you know. Yeah. Great characters.
And it leads to Barry getting like a mentor of sorts.
Exactly. And that's something that's like a traditional superhero thing where you meet someone from the previous generation, you know, and you learn, you know, a little bit from him. So that it's cool. It's good to see that.
And this is something that we've seen in the new Flash series, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because like his introduction was through Oliver Queen, right? And Barry has gone to Oliver Queen like, quite a few times to sort of get advice on bad guys and whatnot.
Well, not even just that, but now, in season 3, we've got Jay Garrick, who is actually John Wesley Shipp. He's actually a mentor to Barry as well, telling him, no, you can't be doing this time travel thing. You got to stop that.
Knock it off.
Exactly. So it's good. It's nice to have the old and the new come together, and it's been done in comics many times. I mean, the Justice League of America, those characters. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they've all been out since, and Green Lantern, all them, they were out for years, back in the 40s. And then they reinvented a bunch of them for the 60s, like Green Lantern and Flash. And they formed the Justice League of America. They actually, teamed up and met the older versions of not of themselves, but of, earlier superheroes. They met the earlier Green Lantern and the earlier Flash, so they had the mentor thing kind of going on there a little bit as well.
Watchmen would be another comic book that.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Kind of makes me think of it too. But yeah. So the story progresses, of course, with the Ghost emerging from his cryogenic suspension. I thought it was funny. Like, he's invented this cryogenics machine, yet the thing is so flimsy that he sets it for the new millennium.
Right.
1999.
Yes.
And as soon as he closes the door, it flicks to 1990.
Yes.
And for a moment there, I thought they were going to set up that this is actually taking place in 1999. This show is actually taking place in the future. But
right. No.
It takes the 1990s, so he's going to wake up early. And I guess that's because they wanted him to be able to reform his team, right? They thought maybe if they do go a bit too far, then that's, it's more likely that these people would have, died or whatever from old age, I guess. But I think the reforming of the team was quite good. He goes and gets his old partner Skip, and he tracks down Belle. It was the Ghostess, not the Ghostess. I liked that performance too, when you go from that scene in 55 where Nightshade is dragging her away thinking that he's killed the ghost, and she's so crazy obsessed with the ghost, to here we are 35 years later, and I don't know, it's like seeing him again has just made her short circuit or something. She doesn't know how to deal with this, and
she kind of goes along with them.
Yeah, I'm going along with you, but she comes to this realization of why did I do this when I was younger?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was definitely a good performance there, because Skip just kind of jumps right back into it. He's like, heck yeah, let's do this. Let's commit some crimes. I'm like, well, okay, Skip. Not have a very good life maybe. But, yeah, Belle, she's fine. She seems to have a decent life and job and, so she's a little unsure.
Well, and not to mention, TV, I mean, of course it's a little bit hokey. There's TV signals to set off bombs and whatever. But that is something that, from 55 through to 90, that technology, blew up exponentially, right?
Exactly.
So you're going from 55 when there was maybe 3 channels to choose from, to 1990 when you got cable and you got, what's he say, 170 channels or something like that.
Exactly. Yep.
It's everywhere, and I can get in everything. And of course, he's going to even go further and try to integrate himself into the TV, which that's a little.
It's a little sci-fi-ish there, but hey,
Yeah, and it's so very 90s with the way that they bring Barry into this, right?
Right.
Because Julio's girlfriend Sabrina, who we actually get to meet in this episode for the first time, is put together some sort of telethon, and Julio drags Barry and Tina into answering phones through the telethon.
It was a little weird. And Joe Klein was such a slime ball. I know he's, I know he's a reporter and everything here, and he's, but I just didn't picture him as that much of a slime ball until now. I was like, oh boy, he's just hitting on Tina so badly, terribly, and all the women around him. Oh.
It's a strange scene too, especially I think with Julio and Sabrina, because Julio always brings up Sabrina. Me and Sabrina are going to do this. We're doing this. It's always him and Sabrina doing stuff. And then we get to the telethon, and all Julio does is hit on some other chick there.
Exactly.
I'm like, what?
I know. Well, he's a young man.
And the ghost pretty much like amasses everything he needs by robbing the TV station where the telephone is, and of course, conveniently enough, StarLabs, because, well, if Tina's not there, then who's there? We'll discuss that more next episode.
Oh, definitely. Because I had an alternate introduction I was going to do as well, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of how Barry gets into it. And of course, it's going back to that thing of like, they just happen to know people. Well, I guess Barry doesn't really know Nightshade, Dr. Powell, but he is pretty much introduced to Dr. Powell almost immediately through Garfield, who just happens to also be at the telethon, right?
Uh-huh, exactly.
So they're at the police station. The ghost sort of makes his appearance, and Dr. Powell's like, that's the ghost. Like, you remember the ghost, right? So, of course, Dr. Desmond Powell is Nightshade, and he comes out of retirement to go after the ghost. And I think this is what I also really like about it, is that he comes out of retirement, he's going to go and fight the ghost, and he just utterly fails, right? At stopping him from robbing StarLabs. He gets shot, like, straight up, and the Flash has to help him. Which leads me to my next question, right? The Flash helps out Nightshade, knows who he is. The Flash takes off, and then Barry comes back, and is like, Dr. Powell, like, what's going on? And Dr. Powell's like, oh, well, you're here, so I'll tell you everything. Right. I know how it ends with Barry wanting to reveal himself to Nightshade. And he says no, like, don't tell me. Do you still think Dr. Powell knows that the Flash is Barry Allen?
I do. I think he has a suspicion just because of the convenience of him showing up, you know, right then. Like, I'm trying to think of it, like, from his point of view, from if I was Nightshade and, like, I'm hurt, the Flash was there, boom, he runs away, and then suddenly Barry just shows up out of nowhere where he doesn't really belong. You know, it's not like a place where he would normally be walking, I guess, right? Because where was he attacked at?
It was at StarLabs. So...
Oh, okay. Well, take that back then. I guess he could explain it away that he was...
he was there to see Tina or something.
Yeah, exactly. I guess he could say that. So... Well, okay, maybe I'm changing my mind. Maybe he doesn't know.
It's just a weird thing of, like, you know, the Flash was there, and then the Flash takes off, and then Barry just sort of happens upon Dr. Powell, who immediately is just like, the police can't see me like this. Oh, well, I'll just tell you everything. Come on, let's go.
I think at the end of the episode, I think maybe he has suspicions that it's Barry. I think at this point, you know, earlier in the episode, I think he just, you know, sees this guy, you know, Barry Allen, as someone who wants to help. I don't think he thinks he's like a, you know, the Flash at this point yet.
Yeah, well, and there's the whole thing too about how he never like really revealed who he is, right? Like he's old friends with Garfield, and he never even told him that he was Nightshade. So maybe it's more like, you don't have to tell me who you are. I'm not going to tell you that I think I know who you are, but it's best that you feel that your identity is protected, right? So he's more humoring him.
Now, see, I remember, like, I know there's an episode coming up that might deal with that. So I don't remember the details, and I only remember that there's another one because I saw the titles on the list of DVD or DVD episodes. Right. So I know that it's going to talk about that somehow, and I don't remember how that comes about. So we just got to be patient.
And, you know, I really liked his backstory as well when he brings it up with Barry. And says, you know, he came back from the Korean War and he saw the corruption on the street. He wanted to do something about it. And of course, 1955, he's a black man. You know, he couldn't just go out on the street and start kicking butts. You know, so he put on the mask and he did what he had to do. So, you know, I kind of like that too. You know, he is a trained soldier. He's not just some guy who decided to go out kicking butts for whatever reason.
Exactly. No, I like the whole idea that Barry asks him, like, well, why'd you do it? You know, it's like, obviously I got these powers, you know, and I got to do something with them. I'm not going to be evil. I'm going to try to do good. That's why I'm a police officer. So he wants to know, why is this person, you know, do the same thing without powers? You know, like we said, it's a mentor. He wants to learn. He wants to understand, you know, what is his motivation.
Exactly. And, well, you know, having someone to relate to as well, you know, I think he asked him that directly. Why did you put on the mask? So, you know, I think that's why, you know, the fact that he pretty much has the same motivations as Barry. Like, I put on the mask because I felt like I could do something, but I need to protect the people closest to me. I think that's great. And I think that's great that there's now a character there that Barry can rely on in that way. Right?
Yep.
Because, you know, we talked about this Team Flash thing, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen at this point. But he's got Tina there. Now he's got Nightshade, who he could call on if he needs to, do, you know, just for some advice or something. But, you know, in this instance, they're actually going to team up and go after the ghost, who I guess to an extent is super powered, right? You know, this whole integrating technology thing. You and I have talked about virtual reality in, I think, both series rewatches that we've done before this. Lois and Clark had one, and Sliders had one, and I think both times I was like really blah on VR. And I honestly here, I'm kind of the same way. This whole pull the Flash in and kick him all over the TV screens.
Yeah, it was very cheesy, and like putting the using the green screen to have like the TV show appear in his body and everything. Was just, no, it definitely not well done at all. But, you know, for the time, that's what they have, you know, the budget, you know.
But I thought they worked well together, you know. Nightshade, you know, he's an old guy now. So he comes in as the distraction so the Flash can get in there quick and do what he has to do. So, you know, I didn't mind that, you know. The VR wasn't like a huge portion of the episode, unlike previous times we've seen this in shows. This was kind of just the wrap up, and I was just, you know, sure I was a bit meh on it, but I can let it go because it was all of like 4 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't much at all.
All in all, I think it was a wonderful episode. I loved all the characters. You know, I loved Nightshade. I loved his things with Barry. I thought the side characters were great with Belle and Skip and everyone. So besides that little VR misstep, I think this is a very solid episode.
Well, I like that at the very end too. Once the credits start, the ghost appears in the credits.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I like that because it gives you the idea, you know, like, hey, he could come back, you know?
He's out there, man.
Exactly.
And now it's time for another episode of The Life and Times of Bellows and Murphy.
I'm telling you, Murph, cost of living the way it is, it's getting real tough to make ends meet.
Well, there's a whole other way to make money in the police department.
You're talking about investments?
No, I'm talking about, you know, sideline. I'm an entrepreneur. Look, here's the latest thing.
I saw the Flash.
I saw the Flash. They cost $6 to make. We sell them for $20, man.
This has been another episode of The Life and Times of Bellows and Murphy. Alright, well, let's get into the second episode discussion. The episode is Sight Unseen, written by Gail Morgan Hickman and John Vorhaus, directed by Christopher Leach, and this originally aired on January 10th of 1991. Happy New Year.
Listen, McGee, I'm in charge here, not you.
Tina.
Barry!
Barry, thank heavens.
Barry, I'm losing you.
I rigged a video hookup through the StarLabs satellite computer. What's going on in there?
There seems to be some sort of toxic leak. It's killed one of the guards. That's why the lab's locked down.
What kind of leak?
I'm not sure, but it has to do with something called Project Pandora. Ruth, does that mean anything to you?
No, nothing.
Don't worry, I'll get you out of there.
No, you can't.
If you break the seal on the door, the lab will automatically decontaminate itself.
What do you mean?
The entire lab will be irradiated, sterilized.
The process will destroy any living tissue. We'll be dead within seconds. What?
So what do we do?
Okay, what we should do is we should find out what really happened.
Hang on while I play back the videotape where the accident occurred.
Wait a minute. I can't authorize some outsider to view one of our security tapes.
Barry is a policeman.
McGee, I'm warning you.
No, I'm warning you. Now stay out of my way.
StarLabs is attacked by an invisible intruder who unleashes Project Pandora, a government-sponsored research project concerned with producing a lethal nerve toxin, and Tina McGee and her short-tempered supervisor are trapped in the ensuing quarantine for lockdown, unable to be rescued due to a safety system that will irradiate the inside of the lab if the doors are busted through, killing all living tissue inside. As a team of government operatives led by a man named Quinn attempt to seize control of the situation, the Flash attempts to find the scientist that made the toxin, but both are killed by the Invisible Man before they can help. It turns out the vanishing villain is a scientist named Gideon who feels responsible for a batch of the toxin that was exposed to the citizens of Costa Luca, killing them all. Later, in an attempt to redeem himself, he worked for StarLabs, eventually creating his invisible technology, but found that certain top-secret projects were concerned with developing chemical warfare weapons for the aforementioned Quinn, the same man who was also in charge of the Costa Luca project. The Flash tries unsuccessfully to convince Gideon to stop his plan to use the toxin to kill all of Central City, hoping to reveal the horrors of chemical warfare to the world, and has to take him down by using a quite shocking method. After being infected with the toxin himself, Barry realizes his metabolism is somehow fighting the toxin and is able to develop a cure, save Tina and her boss, and ensure that the corrupt Quinn is removed from his position.
Barry, I was able to access more information on Project Pandora. 2 of those vials were an experimental, deadly toxin. The third was the only existing vial of antitoxin.
Tina, somebody got to Dr. Valinsky first. He's already dead. It looks like the thief wants to make sure there's nobody around to make more antitoxin. Would anyone else have the formula?
I'm not sure yet. But I do know one thing. The vial of toxin he's got could kill everyone in Central City.
What about you?
According to the computer, we have less than 4 hours to live.
Okay, so again, we've picked up some good flashpoints here. Let's get into it.
Let me just remind everyone again that the synopses are due in part to the fastestmanalive.blogspot.com. I start off with his synopsis and then I finish up the end there. Great site, not really updated anymore, but if you want to read a lot about the Flash, that's a good place to go. All right, so for the flashpoints here, the scientist is named Gideon, which I thought was interesting because in the current CW Flash, Gideon is the name of the computer that Barry Allen creates sometime in the future. And also on Legends of Tomorrow, the ship that they're in, Gideon is the artificial intelligence running the ship.
That's true.
A little connection there. I don't know if they did that on purpose, if that's what they meant to do. But I thought that was cool. In the lair, I guess, Gideon's lair, there's like all this huge painting on the wall, and I noticed it. I didn't really pay much attention to it, but then looking over again at that, the fastestmanalive.blogspot.com, he mentioned that painting that was on the wall was actually a huge reproduction of a classic painting. I think it's called the Great Red Dragon and the Girl or something. I forget what it is, but I got the link here so you can look at it in the show notes there and see the original painting. But it is that painting is just all over the whole lair there. And not only that, I noticed as the Flash was walking into the lair, on the wall there's a mirror with a Mondrian art print around it. I don't know if you know do you know anything about Mondrian at all?
Not really.
I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right, but I've seen the style before. It's very like geometric, a lot of squares and lines and bright red, blue, white colors and yellow. It's like the colors of the Partridge Family bus. If you have ever seen that either, I don't know. But it's a very popular type of art that's been done by a guy. I think his name was Pete Mondrian.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's like the Cubist movement, right? All very angular and square.
Exactly. So I got the link for that too. But I just noticed that there, besides the dragon art, we've got the Mondrian art as well. Very artsy episode.
I noticed the Red Dragon because that was part of a series of paintings, and the main Red Dragon image was used in the Hannibal Lecter story, Red Dragon.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. See, I did not know that.
So that's I noticed that one, but yeah, very interesting. There you go, folks. Well, you weren't expecting an art lesson in today's episode.
Exactly. Make sure you take notes. There's a test next week. All right. And then finally, now this, I told you I actually had 2 ideas for my introduction that I didn't use. So this was actually another introduction that I didn't use beside the other one I'll talk about later. So we get, remember Reggie in the episode, the blind man?
Yes.
This was great. This was just great because I didn't expect this at all. Reggie is played by actor Robert Shane, who is probably best known to people as playing Inspector Henderson from the 1950s George Reeves Superman show.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that's cool. I was looking up on IMDb and they have a little trivia there, and it said this was Robert Shane's last role. I'm like, really? Like, well, who's Robert Shane then? You know, as I looked him up, I'm like, boom, Inspector Henderson. I'm like, yeah, there it is, you know, because we've talked about Inspector Henderson before, of course, in Lois and Clark. So, yeah, it was it's awesome that they got him, you know, to play this little cameo here in the Flash. So
that's really cool. Great. Yeah, I mean, I wrote him down in our list of returning regulars. Right, I always have the two lists: new characters and returning regulars for the episode. And I put Blind Reggie in there because he had appeared earlier, and I'm glad you found something on him.
Yeah, it didn't say anything about it, you know, him in the other, but it was this one they said, yeah, last role. I was like, all right, I got to figure this out.
So outside of that, any other quick connections?
No, not really. I looked up the scientist names and everything, and like nothing came up. The only thing is that Costa Luca that they were talking about, like that's not a real place.
Oh, okay.
Because you know, like I'm not super worldly. You know, but I thought, yeah, there probably could exist something out there, you know,
just
Costa Luca.
South America or something, right?
Right, exactly. But no, it's not a real place. There is someone named Luca Costa out there, but you know, but that's about it. So
we should hit him up on Facebook and
there you go.
You want to come on the show? They kind of used your name.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting interview there. It's like I have no idea what show you're talking about.
If you're a listener, Luca Costa, just hit us up.
Exactly.
Even if Cartwright finishes the antidote, we still haven't been able to bypass the lab sterilization circuits.
Keep on it. Things get tight. We'll have to force those doors anyway.
But if we don't neutralize the failsafe, those women will be killed.
And if we do nothing at all? They'll be just as dead. Right?
Where are they taking it, Dad? Where are they taking it? Quinn! Listen, you know those vials? You don't have to look for them, all right? He's gonna bring them to you.
What?
He killed Belinsky. He's gonna try to kill Cartwright.
If he does, I'll catch him.
Damn it, he's invisible.
Better yet, if I can nail a killer and his invisibility machine, I'll be a big man in Washington.
Big man in Washington.
All right, well, let's get into the rundown. Okay, so StarLabs heavy episode.
Yes.
And we've been talking a lot about how Tina McGee's the only person who works at StarLabs. She even said as much in the pilot episode. She's the only one who works there, outside of the occasional security guard, I guess.
Yeah, and speaking of security guard, this was going to be my other intro besides, you know, saying Inspector Henderson. What happened to Charlie?
Yeah. It was his day
What
off.
happened to Charlie?
They can't expect him to work 24/7, man. Maybe
Okay, fine.
He's just chilling in his cot in the back, maybe. Like, it's not his working hours.
Yeah, all right, fine. I'll take it.
I know. I thought the same thing, though. I was like, why couldn't they just get Charlie back?
Exactly.
But StarLabs is now populated, apparently.
Yeah.
We only do really get to meet one person outside of the ancillary security guard.
Yeah.
We do get who is apparently Tina's boss, Ruth Wernicke. And there is like tons of experiments going on in StarLabs. So like a lot of people work there.
I guess so. But like we only ever see Tina there at any time of day.
So this is quite the development. StarLabs is actually the big operating company that it probably should be.
Uh-huh, exactly.
And also the Tina has a boss? What?
I know. I didn't expect that either.
I figured she was just like one of the big wigs there. She kind of she works there and she does her own thing, her own research.
Well, exactly.
Like she can choose whatever she wants. Like she's got tenure or something at a university. You know, she's just got free reign to experiment on whatever.
Because this brings into question now, like, aren't they wondering, you know, why Barry Allen is always there? How's the Flash connected to this? Why are we not, You know, is that something that we made or what? You know, like there's no questions about any of that.
Exactly. I mean, as far as they know, like Barry got struck by lightning, and now Barry Allen's just always there doing tests with Tina.
Right, right.
So what, they just think she's working with lightning victims or something?
Yeah, exactly.
But whatever. They don't really go too deep into this. I mean,
exactly.
we're going into it because we talk about this show week in, week out.
Exactly.
But of course, yeah, none of this is explored. Just suddenly Ruth is the boss at StarLabs. And the place is like kind of attacked by an invisible guy. He breaks in and he sets off some sort of chemical or something, and the whole place gets locked down. And of course, StarLabs has this totally like backwards security system. That is like, I don't know who came up with the security system, but like the place is locked down, and if you even like attempt to get close to the building, it shocks you. If you try to open the doors, it will just like set off like a mini nuke or something and just kill everything.
Well, I think the idea of that radiation thing, I think, is to like, I don't think it was like the idea to kill the humans in there, but to like sterilize everything because of the danger of whatever chemical was set off. I think that's what they were going for there, not to actually like kill any, you know, people or animals that were inside. It's just to make sure it was sterilized so that whoever just busted open the door doesn't also get affected by the chemicals. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, you know, in that case, then why don't they have like an area where the people can go?
Right.
And be contained, you know, so create a quarantine pretty much. And then the rest of the building is sterilized and opened up so people can come in and help. You know, it's a very strange backwards system. How did nobody have the foresight that this scenario would play out? That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
We're all going to get, like, you know, the slightest hint of an outbreak, and the whole building's going to be clamped up, and then we're all going to die in here.
Yes, exactly.
But, you know, they do set up this, like, tenuous relationship between Tina and Ruth at the beginning. Tina doesn't really like her boss at all. Like,
no.
Ruth is, like, a very, like, curt, straightforward woman, and the fact that they're going to get locked in here together and they're slowly dying because they've been poisoned, you know, sort of brings them closer together. And the fact that we'd never seen Ruth before, I think this episode does a really good job of, you know, setting up that relationship and then letting it play out over the episode. I don't know, how do you feel?
She was good. And they did do a good job of, you know, setting her up and that. But still, like, I thought about it, like, after the episode was over. The boss really didn't add a lot for me. You know, like, yeah, she's the one who's in charge of everything. So she okayed the chemical warfare research or whatever. So there's someone to blame there. But other than that, there's not a lot that I think she actually added to the episode as a whole. Like, if she wasn't there, I'm sure they could have come up with a different reason why there was chemical warfare weapons being developed there.
Well, they kind of do at the same time, because we get this whole, like, shady government agency group show up, led by this guy Quinn, right? So it could have just always just been Quinn, right? And he's there to clean up his mess, right? Ruth really didn't have to be involved as being the one that sort of greenlit the whole thing. To have that, like, oh my God, Ruth, how could you?
Yeah.
And she's just like, hey, we're going to make money as well, so why not make deadly chemicals for weapons or whatever?
Well, that's why I wonder, like, I don't remember if we're going to see Ruth again, you know, because she didn't stand out to me, you know, like, it's just like, oh, she's there. It wasn't like in previous episodes where Barry knows someone, like you said, you know, like he knew the priest, you know, like that, he sort of stood out to me a little bit. You know, he knew Charlie and all this other. You know, it didn't stand out to me as much as those other characters.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of what I like about, like, the last two episodes, really, is that it hasn't been just Barry happenstancely knows.
Oh, no, definitely not. I'm just saying, like, there wasn't anything about her character that I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. I'd like to see more of her, you know? Whereas, like, with Charlie, we're like, oh, yeah, we'll probably see him again, you know? He was a pretty decent character. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Well, it's like how they brought back Blind Reggie in this episode, too, you know? Just do that every now and again, you know? Just sort of show up and just be like, oh, hey, Charlie, what's going on? And then he gets, you know, whacked on the back of the head and knocked out for whatever reason. He doesn't have to stick around.
Right. So we'll see. We'll see if they, you know, have Ruth sort of make an appearance now and then. I don't remember. I can't recall.
Well, and talking about this whole thing about how Barry seems to always be around StarLabs and, like, what do people think? Of course, Barry gets involved in this immediately, going to the extent of blocking the transmission of Quinn and his shady government goons so he can speak directly with Tina and Ruth, right?
Yep.
And he even gets Julio in on this, too, to help him out. So, again, like, it's like, I mean, sure, they could look at it and just be like, I know Tina's a friend of yours and you want to help, but seriously, like, these are, like, government agents. Like, what are you doing? And then there was even a couple of times where, she wants to speak to Barry in the sense of he's the Flash, right? So she's got to be able to speak to her. And she's like, okay, so I want to speak to you privately. So, like, Julio will step off. But, like, Ruth is, like, right there in the room. And Tina's sort of talking to Barry, about how he can help. And he's like, well, like, how would Barry, just the regular guy, be able to help you?
Exactly.
He's a lab tech. She's having this conversation right in front of Ruth. And I'm just like, okay, so, like, I just thought it was weird how, she spoke to him about how he was going to help.
Well, yeah. It's like, but, this is the whole thing. If you're not on the screen, then you can't hear anything that's happening. That's how it goes. Like, a side tangent here. I just saw the 5 Doctors being riffed by the Riff Tracks Mystery Science Theater guys.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a scene in it where the Master is talking with the Cybermen. And the one Cyberman says, let me consult with the other Cybermen. And they move, like, 2 feet away. And they start talking about how they're going to betray the Master. And the Master's right there, and they were just like, oh, yes, I can't hear anything you're saying at all. You're 2 feet away from me. So it's the same thing. It's just, suspension of disbelief.
But, I liked Quinn as, like, this formidable enemy. Like, he wasn't an over-the-top bad guy. He was kind of like, it was like, almost like bringing X-Files or something into it, right? Just shady government agency. And you don't quite know what his deal is.
Well, I had an inkling. Like, I don't remember this episode really at all, like from when I originally watched it. And like, I just knew that guy was bad news. Quinn, like he was not, there was something up with him.
Oh yeah. I mean, he is talking about like, I don't care if these women die in there.
Right. Yeah.
As long as the research is protected. And then he hears like an invisible guy like showed up here as well. Like, bonus invisibility technology. Awesome. I'm going to look so freaking good to the board. I come back with an invisibility machine. And then it almost, it puts like an interesting twist on it. So the Flash has to go out and find this invisible guy. Turns out to be Gideon, as we were talking about before. It's like they set him up to be the bad guy, of course. He's the one who poisoned StarLabs and everything. And he is going to set off some sort of poison-type bomb to kill the whole city.
Right.
But then you get his backstory. And this, Quinn was involved with this stuff in Costa Luca, and all this bad stuff happened, and he thought he could do good by working with StarLabs, only to find that StarLabs was also in bed with Quinn, and it kind of just tipped him over the edge. So, it's this weird subversion of the bad guy, right? Like, of course he's the bad guy, he wasn't going to kill a bunch of people, but at the same time, I think they do a pretty good job of making you feel bad for the guy as well, when he comes back around and thinks, all right, maybe this isn't the best thing to do.
I kind of wish that it was revealed that Ruth was like a plant by Quinn, because it just makes me feel like StarLabs shouldn't be involved in making chemical weapons. Like they should. It just makes it seem a little more sinister, I think. What else is StarLabs working on they shouldn't be? That type of thing.
Yeah, that would have been in, like, moving forward as an overarching thing,
Right, yeah.
Not unlike the new Flash series, right? How the particle accelerator explosion created metahumans, right? So you kind of got to deal with things that are their own fault.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're right. That could have been interesting. The whole plan that they come up with, of course, the infrared glasses, tracking body heat, right? Always reminds me of Predator.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Predator used the infrared. And so every time I hear infrared or they use infrared vision or something like that, I'm like, oh, like the Predator. That's cool. And then, of course, they're going to take down Quinn. And I don't know, he kind of had this offsider, right? Like another agent who worked with him. I don't remember her name though.
I don't remember. I don't think they even mentioned it, really.
I didn't even write her down in our new characters list. I can't remember.
Because she doesn't do anything really until the very end. Like she mostly reacts, that's it. She just like facial expressions and whatnot.
It kind of gets muddy there in the middle, right? Because they're talking about the doctors who could possibly make antidotes or whatever to the poison. And they go through like two different doctors, Dr. Cartwright and Dr. Valinsky. And it just, he's like, why did it have to be two doctors? Like, we had to see two different scenes of these doctors being killed.
Could have been condensed down to one. Well, again, they could have condensed that down to one. They could have gotten rid of the boss character and had it be Quinn pulling strings the whole time. Like, I think it's just a matter of filling up the time slot. They had to get so much. So, yeah, they had to extend it somehow.
Yeah, you're right. It could have just been a bit tighter. It just got muddy there in the middle. But, it's not to say, like, it wasn't interesting. Like, seeing, the doctor with blind Reggie,
exactly,
being strangled to death by the invisible guy. And, well, it doesn't matter that he's invisible to Reggie because he's blind.
Exactly.
So he can help out. So, and then, the doctor, being poisoned in the back of the car or whatever, and then they throw the invisible guy into the windshield of the car. Like, that was some good effects. Like, I thought they looked pretty fantastic for 1990.
Yeah, they did good with the invisible stuff. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I've bagged out on some of the effects on this show, especially the speed stuff. But yeah, just really solid effects, I think, with the invisible guy.
Yep.
And it still like didn't feel like a quick wrap up or anything either. It was maybe a little bit convenient with the whole like, sure, we'll arrest Quinn.
Right, yeah.
And I did notice that Tina makes like a lot of like, she makes side eyes at people a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like smug side eyes, like 3 or 4 times in this episode. And yeah, like the last time was that last shot of her on that gurney.
Yes, that's when I noticed it. And I was like, what? That's different.
She did it to Ruth too, because they did a lot of these shots of her on the computer screen, like Skyping with Barry.
Right.
And she would always make like smug side eyes at Ruth. And I'm just like, what is it with Tina and the smug side eyes in this episode? Weird.
I know. I like it though. It was different. And I was like, oh, okay.
But still, for an episode that was still muddy in the middle and was, quite frankly, a little flashlight.
It was very flashlight, yeah.
I still kind of like this, he kind of had to run all over the place and get different people, and then, like, Gideon wasn't quite who you thought he was, and, all that, it still, like, kept my attention throughout. It was still, like, a really solid, interesting episode.
I wouldn't put it in my top 5, but definitely it was a good episode.
Definitely a good week on the rewatch. I really like those 2 episodes.
Let's go check out the damage. And you better call the coroner.
Quinn!
How did they get out? These 2 are now in government custody. Have them transferred to the Weapons Research Center
I don't think so.
Alan, stay out of this.
Pack up your cloak and dagger and go home, Quinn.
You can't tell me what to do.
Well, I can. I just left the mayor's house, where I reported your activities here tonight in full detail. When I left, she was on the phone to Washington.
Mr. Quinn, I've just spoken to Washington. I have orders to confiscate your credentials and your weapon.
What?
You're on suspension and to be detained pending full investigation of your conduct.
This won't stick. I've done nothing to exceed my authority. Nothing.
Mr. Quinn, let's have a jury decide. Because tomorrow I'm going to call a press conference and blow the whistle on you and your entire operation. Now go crawl back under your rock. Well said, boss.
Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Ruthie.
And we host
The Walking Dead
and Fear the Walking Dead.
Talk Through,
a Golden Spiral Media podcast dedicated to
The Walking Dead
and Fear the Walking Dead
TV shows on AMC. Each episode, we break down what happened, what we think will happen, and talk through our listener feedback.
Because our listeners are very important to us. Isn't that right, Kyle?
Yes, indeed.
Subscribe to us in Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app.
or visit us on our website, WalkingDeadTalkThrough.com.
And join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/WalkingDeadGSM.
See you soon, survivors.
And it looks like we're going to have at least half of a good week next week. I don't remember, but the next 2 episodes are Beat the Clock and The Trickster. And I know what The Trickster's about, so definitely going to enjoy that episode. But Beat the Clock, what do you think?
Honestly, as soon as I hear clock, I get that picture of... you remember Howie Mandel played Mr. Mix's Pitlick?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
That's all I could picture. Some sort of like clock man, time changer or something. I don't know.
Interesting. See, I was thinking of something that had to do with like some type of countdown, like a bomb or something like that. And he has to get there and maybe something happens with his speed that he can't. I don't know.
But that's something I've noticed about this show is that they don't really talk a lot about Barry getting faster.
Right, right.
Again, like talking about like the new series, like a lot of that first season and going forward was all about how can I be quicker? What can I do to be quicker? And then it, it all culminated in like breaking the time barrier and all that sort of stuff. Like Barry in this show doesn't really talk about that.
No, not
like
really.
every now and again he might drop a line like, I can almost beat a phone signal here or something. And he's like, okay, so maybe he is getting quicker, but he just doesn't talk about it a lot. So you're right. Maybe this is the episode for it.
That could be.
Really get on that, how quick he is.
I can't wait for the Trickster episode because I haven't seen it in years and years. And like, of course, we had Mark Hamill show up as the Trickster in the new CW show, so it was good to see him again in those. So it'll be nice to go back. It'll be fun. I think I'm excited. This is one of those big episodes of The Flash that I think that when it comes to ones that people remember, this is one of those. I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it too, to see his initial foray into the character.
So make sure you join us because that is it for this episode of the Rewatch Podcast. Head over to goldenspiralmedia.com/Apple for more great podcasts from Golden Spiral Media. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Rewatch Podcast and on Twitter at Rewatch Pod. Don't forget, your rate and reviews are always appreciated as well on your podcast app of choice.
All right, well, as always, thank you for joining me, Tom.
Yep.
Good week for The Flash for sure. And that'll just leave me to say, until next time, I need a king-sized bag of oats.
We gotta run.
Golden Spiral Media and the Rewatch Podcast are not associated with Pet Fly Productions, Warner Brothers Television, or Warner Brothers Television Distribution.
Come on, let's go down to Burger World so I can get some beef.
The use of any and all copyrighted material is solely for parody, news, analysis, critique, or educational purposes, as provided in United States Codes Title 17, aka Fair Use.
I don't believe you! You're still worried about your experiment, about your life's work?
Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
If all else fails, we can always go to Vegas.
Copyright 2017, Golden Spiral Media.
Hey, what's your hurry? You got someplace to go?